Hello and welcome to today's session. This is your host Shahab, and we are really excited to have an amazing panelist over here. We have got 4 special guests in today's session, and I will be very honored to welcome them one by one. On my first, I'm going to welcome Mr. Murtuza Sinnarwala, who is the lead training specialist from ATLAB, and he's a Lego education certified trainer. Along with that, he's also an Apple certified training specialist. And he has been involved in the education field for the last 5 years. So welcome, Murtuza, to today's session. All right. On my bottom, we have Mr. Zoher Campwala, who is the head of school operations and HR from MSB School, Dubai. And he has been involved in the field of education for the last 20 years and has been working with teachers and for teachers extensively. So hi, Mr. Zoher. Thank you for joining us for today's session.
Hello, friends. Great to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Zoher. We have also with us Mr. Matthew Lombard, who is the head of innovations in STEAM at Sharjah American International School, Abu Dhabi, and has been extensively involved in education for the last 10 years in education. So hi, Mr. Matthew. Welcome to today's session.
Hi.
And finally, the last but not the least, and my favorite person, we have got with us Mr. Muneer Samnani, who is truly an NLP trainer and author of Mastering Time. He personally has helped me master my time a little bit. And he has been a motivation speaker for entrepreneurs, parents, children, and educators for the last 10 years. He's also the founder of Oxygen Management Consultancy. So hi, and welcome to today's session, Mr. Muneer.
Thank you, Shihab.
Thank you, Mr. Muneer, for joining in. So that's pretty much, we have all our panelists, and as you can understand, we have got a variety of people from different sectors so that we can have all our discussion specifically in the well-being conference for educators and parents. We want to understand how can we make the life of the educators and parents a bit better. And this is why we have asked all these people from different fields to come join, and that's why we're so excited and we're so honored to have them over here, right? So I will throw my first question to Mr. Muneer. Samnani, for the first question we have is, how do you define wellness?
Okay, so before I define wellness, I would like to congratulate for naming this workshop as well-being. If you see, being is a process. You know, we are called human beings. We are in a process of becoming human. Wellness, being is a process. You don't achieve it. At the end of the day, you are actually working towards achieving it. So if you ask me, wellness for me is a mindset. If you are internally happy, then everything around you is happy. And if you ask me, there are only 2 things important in life to be happy, right? You need to have a right mindset and a right body. So the mind and body, when they both work together, and when the mind and body is happy, you say it's a happy human being. And there are a lot of factors that play a role in this well-being. And currently, because we are at home, one of the biggest factors that play a role in being happy or in wellness is your environment. So if you focus on your environment and start working with the environment and make small changes, it will help you to add to your well-being. Like a small tip or tool that I usually try to give is, look in your environment and put as simple as happy pictures, right? When you put happy pictures, it's an unconscious suggestion to your mind to be happy. So you might not be seeing it every day, but your unconscious mind is observing, and that adds to it. It's a small tool, but it's a very effective tool. Personally, I have used it, and you can see around me, I keep changing happy pictures around me with my family, and that keeps adding value to it. So it's just a small tool, but yeah, very important. So that's from my side.
That's amazing. Thank you, Mr. Muneer. I think audience already are getting value for what they have, joined in for. In the first 2 minutes, already got a tool. I personally, I think I have to keep some happy pictures in front of me so that I can be much more happier. Already I love to smile, so it's gonna make me smile more. So thank you so much, Mr. Muneer, for that part. Now I'm gonna move to our next panelist, who is Mr. Zoher. And Mr. Zoher, how do you define wellness as from your perspective, as the head of operations and HR from your school? How would you define wellness?
Well, research indicates that there is an association between a teacher well-being and lower student psychological difficulties. brain science also indicates that emotions are crucial in learning. Over here, I would like to add, building on from what Muneer, Mr. Muneer highlighted, two scales, a scale of well-being and a scale of wellness. And now it's very blurred sometimes. And when I speak to my team and when I speak to many, they say it is interchangeable. So let's distinctly say, as Mr. Muneer rightly highlighted, one is to do with the body, physical, and one is to do with the mind. So we start with wellness, which is more to do with the body. And if I put a scale over there, a wellness continuum, on one hand, I would be seeing fitness. In the middle, I'll see wellness. And on the right side, I'll see sickness. And research indicates that largely people are just beyond the midpoint towards the sickness element. I will come now to the continuum of the well-being. And in well-being, what happens is, again, if you look at the same thing, that well-being is more complex, because over here, things like emotional, physical, mental, social, spiritual, all these are intertwined. So you can see the complexity of being. Being is whole, being is complete. And this is what we are, the topic is very simple as such, but when you go a little deeper, we understand that there's so much of complexity. And if we can just unravel some of the beauties within, we can really extract some of the benefits from well-being and wellness. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Zoher. So just can I ask just like an add-on question? So like, how does the school, I mean, just to add up on that point, how does the school defines wellness for, let's say, for its staff, for teachers, and as an overall the school?
I will again extract something which Mr. Muneer highlighted earlier. So the environment, I'll use the word ecosystem. Wellness has to be an ecosystem element. It's not just a yoga session on a Wellness Wednesday that can get about the change. It has to be a complete holistic involvement. And as a school, what we are doing is ensuring the elements that are highlighted, the mental, the physical, the spiritual, the holistic element. And we want to make sure that right from the timetabling of a school teacher, how much the load is balanced, to how much an SLT member is guiding and coaching, to how much of a opportunity for them to connect with each other, and how much of a time where we don't want them to go to their mails and respond beyond 7 p.m. So these are the complete jigsaw pieces put together, which brings about a balance for the school community.
Thank you, Zoher. That I think kind of gives me an insight into how school works, and I think that's going to be a really interesting talk. So once we go to the next question, we can tangent them up and add them up. So that brings me to my next speaker, who is Matthew. So Matthew, how do you define well-being as an educator? How would you define that as an educator?
I think we've actually hit so many of the nails on the head already. Like Mr. Muneer said, and I like everything is so intertwined. And I personally, because I've had troubles myself, I think it starts with it's like a pyramid. I believe that a lot of things starts with your mental health. The drainage of someone that's depressed. Everything else falls in line after that, because you can't bring yourself to exercise. You can't bring yourself to plan your lessons to be good, and all of these things wrap up. So I think it's like a pyramid for myself. But if I want to simplify how I would say, well, my wellness, when someone emails me and they have that line, "I hope you are well," that a lot of the times people don't mean it, but I reflect on that. Am I well? What entails that? Am I solely focused on my schoolwork? Am I focused on myself only? Because there are so many things. You find a lot of teachers like that are just coming in, doing a job and going out. Or there's teachers that are sacrificing their entire selves for the school. So yeah, it's for myself, when I think about wellness. It's, am I balanced?
So to be like more clear, are you saying that as an educator, for you, wellness is like how your school work and personal work are balanced?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Great. Perfect. So that's
if
a
I
great. Yes.
If I can share
Yes,
something
Mr. Zoher.
into what Mr. Matthew just said. I remember in one of my earlier training sessions where I had been, the trainer asked, "How are you?" And everybody said, "Well." So he gave a tip. He says, don't just say well, say I'm good and be genuine. I'm fine, I'm happy, I'm delighted, I'm excited, and express yourself. And he says, don't worry, you're not answering others. You're answering yourself.
Oh,
and
wow.
he says, initially people will laugh at you, but over time, they will realize that you have taught them a lesson. So this is something I would like to share, that linked to wellness. Wellness is more mental than just a smile on the face. If you can just answer. So sometimes, as we use in NLP, it's not the word that we speak has got a huge impact as well. Thank you.
So thank you, Zoher. I mean,
sorry,
like,
Shihab, can I just
Matthew,
can I jump in again there? What I was thinking earlier about the pictures on the walls and things like that, and then that was Mr. Muneer speaking, and then Mr. Zoher also said the environment and all those things. And that's a lot of taking in. What you're taking in is very important. Your visual and the people around you, your environment, if they're negative, it's very difficult at times to keep yourself positive.
Sure.
But then there's also the other factor that what are you putting out? And that's something I focus on a lot. It's almost like a fake it till you make it kind of thing. Even if you are feeling down or it's a negative environment, it's up to you to put it out there to change those things. And that's something for myself which always brings up my happiness or my well-being.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think that's a really good point. I mean, even from Mrs. Zoher, thank you for that additional point. And same to you, Matthews. I mean, a lot of it is what you take in and how you have to be honest with your feelings, right, Mr. Muneer? I think you will agree with me in that sense, right? And I think, he has a lot of, right now he's just, Mr. Muneer is waiting to say a lot of things, in his next question. So, I mean, that brings me to our last speaker for this question, and that's Murtuza. And Murtuza Sinnarwala, I mean, what is, again, same question, how is wellness defined to you? In corporate world, in educator, in edtech, STEM, how is this defined?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, the other panelists, for sharing the insight. In fact, I was talking to my CEO a couple of days before, and he told me a story. What would you do if someone puts a garbage bag in your house? Someone one day comes and just puts a garbage bag in your house. He asked me this. I thought about it for a minute, and I said, maybe I'm gonna throw it outside. So then he said, then what do you do when someone comes to you and tells you bad things or gives you negativity? You digest it, you think about it, and you intake it. So what you do with a physical garbage bag, if you can just imagine, if people tell you negative things, just think of it as that black colored garbage bag which you see in your house. Just think of it that first thing, you just put it out. Do not let that negativity infect you. Okay, and that is the key, which we said it all starts in the mind, the wellness. So for me, wellness is in 3 spheres. You have the mind, you have the body, and then you have the heart. It's the amalgamation of these 3 spheres which defines wellness. It is the emotional, which is the heart well-being, it's your mental well-being, and then the environment, which is the social well-being. So these 3 spheres, and how you balance these 3 spheres, is what is well-being. So for me, we always, a few months before, there was talks about work-life balance and flexible working hours. Now what this current situation has put us, has given us this kind of freedom. So we have taken a step back, but we are in a way progressing forward for a better world.
Thank you, Murtuza, for that. I think in all of our panelists discussion, what we have understood is, in a way, if you can shorten it out in 2 points, is that first of all, do not take negativity and do not give negativity, right? And if you can control what kind of like goes in our thing, you can kind of like ensure wellness comes in there. It's just, this is what I got from you guys. I'm not an expert. I think you guys are much, expert in this field. So that's great. Thank you so much for these, I think insights. And in a way, if I can add up to that and like bring it to my next question, right? Now, this is a bit challenging question, right? So as an educator, right? So this is a good question. I'm going to go directly to what Matthew, right? So since we're focusing on educators, we're going to focus on you right now. Is that the last few months or last 2 months or last few times has been we have been forced to teach or work from home or study from home, right? It's been all online learning, right? How has these wellness definition, or how has this wellness has been affected during these times, during the online learning times or work from home times?
I think for us, being where we live, there's very much, compared to the rest of the world, the laws are rather relaxed. We still can get outside. We still can go outside, get some exercise, get some air, whereas teachers in other parts of the world are stuck in their house for the whole time. And I think we have it actually pretty good considering. For myself, I like to get outside, and I mean, all we have to, just be home by a certain time. So it's very, for my personal well-being, I still go out and I get my exercise in, and I'm happy in that sense. But it's very difficult with being online with the students, where some students are being left behind because of circumstances, or the parents just aren't able to get them to sit down and do their work, for example, like that.
Yeah.
And that creates stress in a school environment, where we do get in trouble if a student has fallen behind, if they have zero participation. What has the school done to follow up with this? And it's very difficult when there's no answers,
True.
So there's a lot of stress involved with this distancing, but there's also so many positives that I've found with the approach that we've taken at our school. A lot of individualized attention, where in a classroom setting, when we have behavioral problems, which is across the board here, you're in more control of what the student's able to say. So yeah, I think overall, personally, I've enjoyed this last few months. To be honest, I love working with technology, so I've been able to use my time to make these amazing lessons and entertain the kids by entertaining myself, because everyone's a child at heart. But yeah, I think I've hit those notes there.
Perfect. I mean, I think like a lot of educators, like initially when they moved to this platform, they had challenge in terms of, they had a lot of stress in terms of how to move from, complete offline to online. Was that similarly the issue for you? Sorry, Matthew, yeah?
No. Well, whereas we have things very much digitally accessible at our school, I've spoken to a lot of my friends who are just getting random pieces of work to mark and things because they haven't implemented and practiced, which is digital learning, which we were doing for quite a while already, which helped a lot when we transitioned into the e-learning, because the children were accustomed to it. Whereas other schools, and it's not even, it's top-notch schools that I have some friends that are talking about how it's stressful because they don't get any of the work from the students and they have to chase them up till 10 o'clock at night. So I think from a personal view, I'm doing fine, but from teachers that I've spoken to, it's very, very taxing on them.
So, and in that case, let me move on to Mr. Zoher. Since, you are from, let's say you have the background from the behind the school perspective. What Matthew has said is not just a single case, right? It's educators all over the UAE, all over the world, who are facing these kind of issues. So how is wellness during the online learning times has been for you as a school administrator and, you know, as a head of operations?
I'll share with a story here. Many years back, I had a chance to go to Disney, and we were on a roller coaster. And yeah, there are many roller coasters, but this one particular one, it went to a certain point, and then it went in reverse.
Okay.
And yeah, if you Google and see the reverse roller coaster in Disney, and there was frenzy, there was shouts. It made us unimaginable pain initially, and then yeah, many were having fun as well. And typically, this is something similar that we as school, and I think as all education institutes across the globe, realize that all of a sudden it's gone topsy-turvy. Maybe some of them had not even, harnessed themselves, and they were still clinging on. So some enjoyed the ride. Yeah, Matthew could be one of them, and there were some coped. If I look from school perspective, it did put the whole journey in disarray. We always talked about going there. It was very utopian to operate like this, but when it became a reality, it threw us into uneasiness at various levels. However, I'm proud to say that within the team, and I can say across the globe, most of the education institutes, the agility that teachers have shown, the openness to change that they have embraced, has really managed, and really, I'm very proud to say that they took this challenge on, and so far, they have been really staying afloat. Some of them are swimming comfortably against the tide as well. What is important over here is that the resilience that they have shown, the agility, and this goes firstly to the teachers, but secondly to the building, the system the school have had. So how have they come to the rescue? Have they provided with the tools? How have they provided the timings? Have they got the infrastructure? If you put those in place and giving the flexibility to them, this has helped. So it's both the school, the management, the support staff, as well as the teachers in particular. And I would like to add another element here, parents. We always wanted parents to be a great equator in this, and they were never able to cling in. I think over here, well, more by chance than by choice, they're here. And I would request all the parents to stay here by choice, because this will really change the dynamics of learning to our key stakeholder, the student. I will just add something more. In corporates, we hear about change management, and there's a change curve. Change curve generally it dips, that's the low area, and then it comes up. So to a large extent, a lot of us are in this dip right now. We are struggling, we are coping, and that's where wellness is very important. So in addition to all these other elements, if we are firm-footed over here, if we are in control of ourselves, if we are able to take care of ourselves individually and collectively, we can move mountains and we can move up the change curve. Thank you.
Exactly, Mr. Zoher. And, there's always a common complaint that teachers are don't like to go for new technology, or they're not they're not one of the people who likes to be, trying out new things. But if you can look at this whole situation, you see teachers are the one who are in the front line of trying out new technology. And until now, I think they've done really, really well to cope up with this whole thing, right?
I like what one of the teachers also said, that life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to play in the rain. I think a lot of us are just waiting for the storm to pass, but I think we have a huge opportunity here. And if only we are able to ride the wave, we will be able to see some insights which we have never seen before.
Amazing. Thank you, Zoher, for that. And so adding to your point that, as a parents, we had this, you want the parents to be involved more in the online learning times. Mr. Muneer is himself a parent, right? So, how was your experience? So how did you have a feeling in the online learning times as a parent during these times?
Sure. So I don't know how many of you have come across this book called Who Moved My Cheese? It's a quick read book. It's a very slim book. I think not even 100 pages. So when this COVID started, it reminded me of that book, that somebody is moving my cheese, and am I comfortable to allow someone to move my cheese? And actually COVID did that. It moved everybody's cheese, right?
Yeah.
And that's what made, that was the people were uncomfortable, not only the teachers, but I'm sure teachers, educators, students and the parents. Now it all depends upon how do we see school as. So as a parent, if I see school as something where I can send my kids and I'm free and I don't have to bother for next 8 hours, or as I see as a development, ongoing development. Now, when online started, it's like folding your arms, right? You fold your arms and you don't know how you fold your arms, right? And we've done this activity once. And then you say, do it opposite way. And it becomes really uncomfortable to see, I didn't realize how was I folding my arms. Now I have to really work hard to do it opposite, right? Or brushing your teeth. I'm brushing my teeth with right hand. All of a sudden somebody is asking me to do it with left hand, and it's going to bring change. It's going to bring resistance. And I think a lot of the parents have become part of it, as Mr. Zoher said, and they have to be, I think they need to be part of it. And people either can say that, oh, my kid is only on the gadgets right now, or you can become a part of it. Like, for example, as Matthew said, a lot of schools are also doing a lot of fitness classes, or there is special classes for fitness or exercise during the school hours. Are you enjoying that your kids are also participating in that, or they're just sitting on a couch and looking at others doing it, right? Like, for example, I'll give you a classic learning that happened with me was, so my younger one is now started using laptop, right? And I said, so what do you know? And she says, I know all Microsoft. So I said, do you know Excel? And she says, yeah, very well. So I had a lot of visiting cards that I had collected over a period of years. I wanted somebody to put it in the Excel and give it to me. And there she comes and she says, this is something I can do it for you. Bingo. You see what's happening now? Taking this learning to next level is my job. It's not school's job, right? I wanted to do one online Zoom link, and I wanted the participants to pre-register on the Zoom link. I don't know. So I went to my older one and I said, do you know how to use Zoom and how to pre-register the participants? Because I don't know. And he said, no problem, give me 5 minutes, I'll figure it out. So he goes on YouTube, he figures it out, comes and he does it. Now you see what's happening is that if we can contextualize this learning somewhere in our everyday life with them, then this is fun. It's enjoyment.
True.
Right? As Matthew said that, you might be working out, you might be exercising with your kids, but while exercising, are you writing down the reps and telling them, can you do the maths on this paper and tell me how many reps did we do? So take that learning, put it somewhere and make it fun. I think that's the best part. So yes, when it came, it was a lot of change. It took time to adapt, but now it is part of us. So as a parent, I would like to be part of it. As Zoher said, be part of the school system, work with the school, work with the teachers, give them feedback and tell them, is this something that I can learn? And of course, those people who've enjoyed the journey, enjoy the rain, are enjoying the rain. Those who are trying to wait, I think the suggestion is don't wait too long. It's fun to be part of it. Learn, even if it's against the storm, try to, at least do 2-3 strokes and you'll become comfortable saying, okay, now I did 2, now I can do 4, now I can do 10. So yes, it has been a good learning curve as a parent for me as well.
That's amazing. And that kind of like hits the chord. And I mean, in a way, if it, like to combine Zoher and, Mr. Muneer, your point is that, when you do something that's not part of our normal things, it's always difficult to, go, and do it, right? So that brings me to Murtuza. And I since I work with Murtuza, I know that companies have been through a massive storm during these times. So how has ATLAB worked during online learning times? How was wellness for them important for them during these times?
So when the world actually came to a standstill because of the pandemic, education has moved in the fast lane as possible. Now, everyone is at home, all the businesses are standstill. Everyone thought, okay, digital learning, online learning will be something in the future, but that took it up in a snap. It's most of the schools, by choice or by chance, they are forced to adopt this online learning. And what we as a company did for online learning and hands-on learning was to make sure that educators get the proper tools. Now, education, and especially with the technology, involves content knowledge, which the teachers are already aware of. It's their expertise. It involves the pedagogical knowledge, and which the teachers have been using in the classroom. But then adopting the technology knowledge, and this is the TPAC framework which I'm talking about, into the context of this particular situation. So we started empowering teachers with online tools and online different assets which we could from Lego Education, from our different partners. But we also started a competition for well-being, because when in this disruptive times, in this times when you're being thrown outside in the storm, you come up with the best ideas and the
True.
best solutions. So, and these solutions, they come up with not just from technology startups, but from the students. So we invited all the students to come up with their concept of well-being, and how can they design an app. An app, no, app development is one of the biggest futures, and with this online learning, it will start developing more. So app development with artificial intelligence could be the future of personalized learning and well-being. Now we have all started using on our phones. We check screen times, and now we use the Pomodoro technique, and even Zen mode. But these kind of ideas of well-being of an app ideas is what we started developing for the students. So we do sessions with them on how to actually develop an app right from scratch. It does not require any hard coding, just drag and drop, but getting that idea into a real life hands-on product, which is an app in this case, and then making them empower that they can actually, their small idea can actually affect and change the world. So
Yeah,
that's what we as a company are doing in this crucial times.
yeah, and Murtuza, like just to add to your point, I'm sure the Sentina group, which is the group of what ATLAB is part of, and I think they're doing an amazing event coming up, right?
Yeah. So the Sentina group, ATLAB is a part of a group called Sentina. It's been here from 40 years, and Sentina group is hosting an event which is called Besides You. It's for all its customers and its families. In this time, we as a Sentina group, we really believe well-being is very important for each and every one of our customers. We believe each and every one of our customers are part of our family, our extended family. So we have invited two famous musicians who will be on instruments. It will be a live music concert. We are hosting it on the 30th, this Friday at 4:30 p.m. UAE time. Uh, that is, I think, six o'clock Indian time.
Yeah.
And it will be a live virtual concert, which will be on instruments, drums, piano, just for our customers and our families to have a great evening, even in this time. And we really want to thank our customers and all the people who are connected with in this crucial times.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure our panelists will be. We would love to see them in that event beside you, so that we can have we will be together in oneness in there. So that brings to my next question, Murtuza. Since you talking about tools, and you're giving the tools to the kids and students how to build it up. That brings to my next question, and I will definitely ask a question to Mr. Muneer first. Is that during these challenging times, what tools or what methods do you suggest, or can you give to us that can make the life of educators and parents easier and more efficient and less stressful?
So one of the tool is, and there are a couple of tools, I won't give only one tool. One of the way is to, as we have all agreed, work on your mind, right? And one of the best way to work on the mind is, so I've seen a lot of people get up in the morning and they say, oh, this is my problem, or this is the challenge I have to face today. Instead of, if they can start with a 5 minutes gratitude, which is, what 3 things are good in my life right now, right? From yesterday till now, what 3 things good happen with me? The moment you start with that tool of a gratitude, there is a positive self-talk. Automatically, a positive self-talk starts. The moment that positive self-talk starts, you start seeing opportunities around, you start seeing things around. I always say this, there are no unresourceful people, only unresourceful state. It's just the state of the mind that is not resourceful. That's why people can't think forward. So the first thing is, that's the first tool, that if you can start with a gratitude where you say 3 things I'm grateful for today, everything in their life starts becoming looking at things that are good in your life. So that's my first tool that that I would probably suggest. The second tool that I always suggest is work with a calendar. Most of the time the brain goes on a negative state of the mind when you don't have a calendar to follow, because rhythm sets you free, routine sets you free, right? If you see, when a kid is born and the kid has a routine, the kid is less cranky. Similarly, what has happened is that the routine is gone out of our hand right now because of this COVID. Because the school, we were getting up in the morning, sending the children to school, going to work, coming back. All of a sudden, the routine went off. Come back to the routine. Start your routine back. So get up the same time, do the same chores, and have a calendar not only for yourself as teacher, educator, parents, but also for your kids. Like, I know when the school finishes at 2, what is that my kid have to do from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. And I also give them air time. There is also Netflix time in their calendar, right? I don't want to be a parent who says nothing. So there's a Netflix time, there is exercise time. One of my kids is an avid dancer. So I also ask the kid to show me a 1-minute dance every day. So the person has to learn to show it to me. Again, that's a positive engagement. So just not, going back to that calendar and having a strict calendar. And then being consistent on that calendar. Most of the time when you're not consistent, like I'll give you a classic example, right? When a teacher says to the kid, I'm going to check this on Sunday, if you've done this, whatever, project or not. And then the teacher forgets.
Oh.
Immediately the kid knows that it's okay not to do a project, because next time when the teacher says, I'm not sure if the teacher is going to ask or not. That's exactly what happens when you are inconsistent as a parent, right? If you tell your kid sleep at 8 and today the kid says, is it okay to sleep at 9? And you say, yeah, that means 8 is not the rule. 9 is the rule, because you've just become inconsistent. So going back to your discipline and working with that discipline day in, day out will set a rhythm, and that rhythm will set you free. It will give you a lot of opportunities to achieve more. And the last tool I always say is inspection tool. When you do something, go and inspect back, right? Whether it is with yourself, with your kids as a parent. There's this saying that I always say, you only get what you inspect and not what you expect. Because the moment you start inspecting, you start getting more. But if you keep expecting, things don't move. So these are a couple of tools that I would suggest, that if as a parent as a teacher educator, or as an individual, if you can, stick to these tools, it will allow you to move forward in the right direction.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Muneer, for that. That brings, that's tools from your side, Mr. Muneer. Murtuza, I mean, as a team leader and as a leader of a certain company and a team under your company, what tools have you worked with in your company to be able to, let's say, make this the educators and the people under you and make their life easier and make them like a well-being and less stressful?
So Shihab, the first thing is with teachers, what I noticed is that they were, because of the situation, they were thrown out. Okay, they had prepared these lesson plans, and suddenly these lesson plans needs to be completely revised, revamped, and changed. So having the knowledge on how to use the tools is very important. Like simple tools like Google. Now Google has the whole information, but if you know how to search on Google the correct information in the correct way, that's really beneficial. So we started using tools like Google Docs or the collaborative tools. It's not just one platform. All the platforms have an option of collaborative tools, online brainstorming like Mural and Mira, and just simple tools like what Mr. Muneer also mentioned, like having a calendar, having a routine set for teachers, that okay, this is the time where my online classes will be, and rather than now waiting for, like Mr. Matthew had mentioned, that assessments, it's not the time to teach. This is the time that we all learn. Okay, we as educators, we as students, how to learn is what is during this time. So most of the teachers have now started using all these digital tools, and sometimes the students are helping them, and it's okay to take a feedback with just a video recording or on Flipgrid or a screencast, and just sharing their work with them. It could be as simple as, take the assessments, do it on a paper, take a photo and share it back with you. So it really does not matter on how you're going to assess, as long as your students see. What we want is our students to be lifelong learners. So when they go to the corporate, no, we today everything is available at the clip of our fingers on YouTube, on thing. Just that how we teach them to learn is very important in these days. So the tools does not matter, as long as they have that passion and motivation to learn, everyone will exceed.
Thank you, Murtuza. And Matthew, could you add to this, like in terms of as being the head of innovation and STEAM in Sharjah American International School, what sort of tools and what sort of methods have the school worked with educators or worked with parents to, let's say, reduce the stress and make well-being for everyone involved in this thing?
I think it's very difficult for the school to be directly involved with your wellness. I mean, you can, for example, we had a survey sent out asking teachers
okay.
certain questions. How are they happy with this? Are they happy with that? What are their concerns? But it's ultimately, I think, down to the individual in a situation like we're in right now, where the school can follow up as much as they'd like to, supervisors and whatnot. I know I get called at least every week by our supervisor asking me, how are you? Are you well? And he genuinely means it. So it's not, I'm not going to get away with, yeah,
I think we all need that. My boss, Murtuza, keeps calling me like, hey, Shahab, are you doing well? You need some support. Yeah, that's the small thing can always, help the teachers, right?
Yeah, it is. It's literally that too, in a situation, and I know, let's say, for example, a lot of teachers here are expats like myself. I'm here alone. There's no one that genuinely can check in with you all the time, your parents and whatnot, but there's friends that you would like to check in with you, colleagues and things like that. That is very important. But on a systemic level, the school itself is rather powerless, I feel, except for having people in place like a supervisor and whatnot to call in, because a survey can only do so much with your wellness. They can identify issues, but in this current situation, there's not really much they can't come to your house to help you out.
Yeah, but I think, Matthew, like in a way, like the simplest tool is just ask people. That's it. Like, I think just bring the communication forward. Like, how are you doing and all stuff. I mean, that I think sometimes simple is powerful, right? And maybe
just empathize.
Empathize, exactly. Like Moses says,
Yeah. 100%. What I was thinking when Murtuza was talking earlier about, I can't remember exactly what he said, but basically the students making use of their at-home things and
yes, app development, yeah.
Yes, such things where the students don't just associate their devices at home with Instagram and TikTok and things like that. I think for them to start now using it outside of school might help to create well-rounded people, where a lot of the time I found a lot of my students outside of school, it's just TikTok or Netflix and that kind of thing, because I think they're learning a lot now, and parents are also learning a lot now, the importance of making use of what you've got. Having an iPad, but having it for a purpose, for example, such things, and the importance of where we're going, where parents at this point are also forced to be involved. Like Muneer said, that some parents, it's like, okay, cheers, 8 hours of freedom. A lot of teachers are phoning in nowadays, and not teachers, the parents are phoning in saying, we respect you for the job that you do, but now I think parents will get more involved in their children's lives because it forces them to.
True. I think, I mean, yeah, in a way, I mean, it's kind of, the situation has kind of brought the parents and teachers and the schools closer and understanding that what goes in making, a smart and a responsible adult.
sorry, my point with that is we're talking about tools, and I mean the student wellness, and I think it's something that's very much overlooked a lot of the time is how well is the students actually, because of the family life a lot of the time is not there, where the parents aren't that involved in the child's life, where they've got a nanny, for example, that's doing the homework with the child, and it's not the parents, and that doesn't create the bond that you want. Whereas sometimes there's the association is merely with being punished with the parents. Oh, you got a bad mark. Okay, I'm going to get a maybe I'm going to get in trouble. So I think it's creating tools such for a student where the parent is the tool, where in the future, I think students will be able to go to their parents to help them when they're not feeling well.
I think, yeah, I mean, the human tool is the most important tool. Yes, Murtuza.
The sickness was always associated, be in school or be it in the corporate world, sickness was always associated with physical sickness. But with what's happening around, I think it's always, now it will also start affecting what do you mean by mental sickness, or just not being well mentally, and how can we improve our mental well-being. So that is a big change which I see in parents and teachers as well as in students.
So they have coined a term for that called presenteeism.
Okay, I didn't know that.
That's. I mean, so Zoher, since you already spoke, what's your perspective on this thing? What tools do you think we should have for parents, teachers, educators?
When it comes to the topic that we are looking here, well-being, I'll break it down into 3 levels. At the macro level, at most society level. So there are some cultures, I would say there are some tools, there are some strategies at a very huge at a cultural level. 2, it is at an organization, at a school level. And 3, it's at a personal level. So tools, for example, at a society level, I think now the watch clearly tells you how many steps you have taken. There's a tool to drink water, tool to breathe, tool to remind you of sleep, how many calories you have burned. So those tools are at a very society level. They are available for everybody. Right now, I would say that if I was to go down in the evenings, the number of people we see walking, even just before COVID, are the highest number of people walking now, which means awareness in health, in wellness, it's topical right now. It's global. We are lucky to be in Dubai, where there's a happiness index, there's a happiness minister, which means it's looked at so strategically. So those are at a very macro level, at a society level, and all this helps us build an ecosystem. We come to the corporate level, at the school level, we put in place certain policies, certain initiatives, which helps inculcate the element of well-being and wellness we regiment it, or we structure it in such a way where it's pens down. It's a stretch time. It's a stretch time. It's no gadget time. It's no gadget time. So we can influence those policies as well. And more corporates are becoming aware. Schools are becoming aware, and they realize that how important the mental and physical wellness of a teacher is to inculcating the education to the students. And the third level, the personal level, perhaps I feel this is the most crucial, most sensitive, and you can drag the horse to the gym, but yeah, he will not go on. So you can build a gym in the school. You can have a gym in the building. Most of the buildings have it. Now comes the personal level, and it's very crucial over here that I will just put the very simple statement: please take care of yourself, whether you're a parent, whether you're an individual, or whether you're a teacher, particularly teachers. Because of the stress levels right now, it's important. I come from an aviation background, so I'll use this example that we use, that it's important that you take the oxygen first before you give the oxygen to you. If you are healthy, you will be able to provide healthy. A healthy teacher is a healthy class, is a healthy student. So that's an important element. Taking this little further, there are some simple strategies. If I was to look at build a routine, which Muneer highlighted. It's very important to have it a certain pattern. If you look at earmark certain places, we know that the WFH may continue for some time, till at least for the couple of months. Ensure that there's a place where it's a place for you to work at. It's a place for you to relax. Don't mingle those places. Otherwise, you lose the sanctity of those places. The dress code. So wear it. Fake it till you make it. Yeah, Matthew. The mindfulness. Be mindful. Being mindful is nothing else but how many of us have just sat for 10 minutes in a day, not doing anything, no gadgets, no speaking, no thinking, nothing.
Impossible.
It's impossible. It's transformational. Practicing exercise, yoga, drinking water on time, hydrating yourself. Like Neil said, a gratitude journal. I would say that I've started, and it is really a massive change. It's transformational. And yeah, I like the Russell Khema code, RAK. Random act of kindness. Surprisingly, these small things, and I would end this whole list so holistically at the society level, at the school level, and personal level. Personal level is the key, is the most crucial level. And as we just discussed, sometimes simple things are the most difficult to achieve. And if we really want to get this right, we need to make sure that those simple things become a part of our system. And if you can just inculcate that, I'm saying this more to myself than to anybody else, and I will be able to see a change, and we'll be able to see a change.
That's so, I mean, that's so, like, how can I say it? Makes sense in so much different levels. As you said, like, if you go from all different levels, and if people are able to add these all in our way of life, it's going to make so much more difference to our things. So that brings us to the last 10 minutes. We are coming to an end to a session. I have now put our Zoom as a gallery view where all of us are visible on the screen at the same time. And this kind of like the fun time, or how can I say, is the hypothesizing the time, is that how do you see the life after COVID coming up? So in the next year or next few years, how do you see us transitioning to the next part of the life? And this is an open discussion, and we guys can share our thoughts and process, and how do you see changing the education landscape, work landscape, as a parent, as an educator, as a corporate person, how do you think these things happening? Let's open the floor to Mr. Muneer.
I will just interrupt and share something here.
Yes, yes.
As we always say, yeah, that in the Gregorian calendar we say BC and AD. Recently, I realized that now it is before Google and after Google, because I think life before Google was different and life after Google has changed. Very soon, people will start using the term BC and AC, before COVID and after COVID. And I would say that the DNA of education is on a cusp of change. I think as educators, as thought leaders, and we look up upon many others who should really drive this change right now. Since we have come over the hump, it would be a shame to go back again doing the old way of doing things. So if we are already here, it will be a difficult curve, it will be a challenging one, but I think collectively, we should be able to really ride the wave and really do the purpose, bridge the gap between the real life and education. Education most towards taking the student towards the real life. And I think this example has, this instance right now has got closer to reality, and we should stay closer to reality.
Yeah, and
I can't agree anymore.
Murtuza, sorry, you're just talking. Yeah, go ahead. I think I saw
can't
you laughing
agree.
a lot.
I can't agree with what Mr. Zoher has said. He has hit the nail on the head that we cannot go back to the traditional education anymore. It's moved to a point now we really want to bridge that gap between the real life. From my side, I feel that the future of education is what is blended learning, where we always talked about the concept of flipped learning, where the students do not need to be thrown the content, or the teachers should not be teachers and just tell the content, but they should be more facilitators in the classroom, which could lead to fruitful discussions and more hands-on activity. Now, with this online learning and flipped learning, the students could learn the content part through video lectures at home, where they could just take a pause, replay the content, understand the content, and the classroom time could be shorter, but be much more utilized into critical discussions. We talk about creativity, critical thinking, and more of hands-on project-based real-life learning. So that's what I feel the future post-COVID will be, where schools will start adopting this online learning into this new framework, which we will see developing.
What do you think, Mr. Muneer? Now, like, how do you see changes happening?
So basically, saying anything right now, it's speculation, right? We don't know what's going to happen.
We will
don't know
record the video and we'll see whatever you say, does it come true or not?
Yeah. We don't know if mask will become a permanent part of our face. We don't know that, right? We don't know if gloves will become permanent part of our body. But what I see is that certain things will help us move through the change. One is being open to change. Second would be quickly adapting to whatever is coming to us. Third would be doing it consistently, right? So, ensuring that you just don't change, but then keep that change for a longer period of time. And then fourth is ensuring that you learn from that change, and what is that you learn, go and implement it. Because every time there is a change, it has taught us something. And then the idea is to take those learnings further. On the hindsight, there are other things that we don't know. Like people are saying that there will, like I've talking to a lot of business owners and C-level executives. They've come up with a new word called "today I have a Zoom fatigue." Now I don't know what that is called, but so I'm expecting there's something new gonna come, right? There's new challenges gonna come.
I know what the Zoom fatigue.
Yeah, corporate.
So there are chances that people might come up with different challenges now. There might be therapies for Zoom fatigue. We don't know. One of the things I'm saying is that if people are not going to meet, what is going to happen with the social skills, and how are they going to build, especially people who are now growing, right? So we are lucky enough to see both the sides. We've developed enough social skills now, but what is going to happen with those social skills? Are they only going to develop online, or there will be some kind of new thing that will help them to develop in person? What would happen with the physical fitness? Because as it is, we're seeing that the curve towards obesity is going up. So as Mr. Zoher said, are people going to realize soon that physical walking is important and doing physical stuff is important, or it's going to bring some new challenges in people's body? We don't know. So it's interesting how this is going to unfold. The idea is that, as we've already discussed further, it's rather than resisting, being open to change and saying, okay, let me see how this works with me, and what is this going to change, this change going to teach me, and let me implement this and move forward. So it's like step by step going further towards where it's going to lead. We don't know. It's like, I don't know if you've seen my one of the video that I put, the tunnel metaphor, right?
Yes. Yeah.
When you are in the tunnel, you don't know the end, but what you can see is the 200 meters. So you prepare for these 200 meters. Once you cover that 200 meters, you will see another 200 meters. And that's how the journey is going to unfold. So that would be my side, that whatever you see, people are now saying, I'm only planning for 3 weeks because I can only see 3 weeks. Okay, but plan for 3 weeks. And then once you reach these 3 weeks, plan for another 3 weeks. So yeah, planning and implementing will be important.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a saying like the only constant in life is the change, right? And so it's going to be always changing, and we should be ready for that. Matthew, how is life going to change for you after COVID?
Just 1 second.
Yes, Murtuza.
What Mr. Muni said, I would like to add on. I mean, recently doing workshops for design thinking, and just helping people to unlock that creativity, and to see how design thinking just as a process can help you understand and plan the future. Because we are so used to this kind of straight vision that we really cannot think outside the box. So it's for everyone, for corporates, for educators, opening up to change, and just opening up that, okay, there is something which could come up behind that tunnel.
Yeah,
exactly. And Matthew, you have something to add upon before we finish? You're the last and the most important person to speak right now.
Education. What I'm thinking is, I keep getting this idea in my head. It's like when the powerhouses of the last 150 years have been those who were fastest in the Industrial Revolution, who developed fastest. And I think it's going to be the same thing. I think it's very optimistic to think that things will drastically change around the world for education, because coming from Africa, I know the situation there. It's very very rare that you have schools fully equipped with technology. Whereas, for example, our situation here, I think schools will leapfrog other systems if they're able to combine what's happening now with going ahead, planning, and teachers that have fallen behind have to now play catch up and join the revolution, so to say. There's gonna be a time where I think people will be like, what do you mean your school doesn't have 1,000 iPads or something like that, which isn't the case right now. But I do see that, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon because, yeah. But post-COVID, I think things will relatively go back to normal because people do resist change. But I think students will have a need for a different approach where teachers have now seen what's productive technology-wise.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like shapes up how we'll have challenges that whenever, as Mr. Zoher said, that we're going up a bump, and ideally you would want to go back because it's easier to go back, but you should resist it, the difficulty of going back and try to push forward. I think that's where it's going to bring us innovation. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in.
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Matthew, for pointing that out about equality and equity between schools, and now we will that difference may still increase now further with some countries leapfrogging way ahead in technology while others not. So that's a topic we will be covering up in the future sessions.
Yeah, thank you, Murtuza, for that. So let's keep it eye on that. So once again, thank you so much again for joining in. Thank you, Murtuza. Thank you, Mr. Zoher. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Muneer, for coming in and giving us that hour. And it's been a very great session. I learned a lot from this whole session. I'm sure people who are going to be watching this, they can also learn a lot of this. And yeah, we hope to see you soon in our future sessions. Great.
Sure.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.